guys, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the best, recent, cutting edge, most effective, most useful tools to operate your brain, your body, so you can make the best possible decisions, take the best possible and most effective actions, and create the life experience you desire. Today, folks, I'm recording this on Saturday, and what a better day than this to record a work-life balance episode. I think especially in the sector or in the groups of entrepreneurs that I interact with most often, work-life balance got a bad rep. It's like, I don't have time for work-life balance. I have things to do, things to build, people to, teams to build, people to lead. And I don't have time for balance. I barely have time to sleep. But what I learned is people don't understand that balance is a very subjective idea. It's not some sort of scale or some sort of objective number like in physics. Like if you have this number for, work and for rest, this is the balance. No, balance is going to be different, just like for an athlete. If you're an athlete and you want to have balanced training, I, by the way, coach athletes at the beginning of my career for quite a few years. If you want to have a balanced training routine, you want to first ask yourself, what kind of athlete am I? And then what are my priorities? And then what do I need to also balance my priorities so with other activities, with other training like activities and recovery activities, so it all doesn't collapse. It's all about that. It's all about figuring out your priorities first, and then from there you build a system of behaviors based on that behaviors that are timed, that are scheduled, that are measured and tracked, but all based on your priorities. And that's how you get to balance. And the same with work-life balance. So yesterday I had a coaching session with another entrepreneur, and we are working on productivity, specifically on getting more hours, 5 to 10 more hours every single week than he can reinvest either in his life, his family, pursuit of hobbies, or back into his work. So getting back more hours that are wasted for ineffective decision making, ineffective scheduling, and yes, ineffective idea of work-life balance that actually takes more time for decision making, for organizing all the activities. It wastes your brain power, your things like working memory, like attention, like focus, that, by the way, folks, are limited. Your brain has limited capacity, just like your computer, to operate the amount of data that it receives. And so when you constantly have to make a lot of decisions, or, for example, you always try not to forget how to schedule certain things to keep things in balance, guess what? It's all kept in your working memory, and it doesn't have the capacity to work on your biggest ideas. And that's what the danger is when you let some concept like work-life balance become unmanaged, untracked, and you always have to keep it at the back of your head so you don't make your life collapse. Because let's face it, even if you are a super passionate entrepreneur, you still have other human duties, so to speak, to attend to if you want to last long enough to even have an opportunity to see your vision of your work, of your business, or of the world to become reality. Here is more practicality. So yesterday we had a session and we started talking about work-life balance because this is one of the goals that this specific entrepreneur has in mind. He said, I want to grow my business. I want to create something massive, big, amazing, but I also don't want to lose the balance that I've created till this point, taking it slower, right? I don't want to ruin my health. I don't want to ruin my mental health. I don't want to ruin my family life. I want to also have a life, not just build a business. And right off the bat, I started with a practical exercise that I start with every single client. I make every single goal that we work on numerical, because as the saying goes, well, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And also, if you don't put a number on it, if you don't schedule it, if you don't outsource it from your brain into some system of scheduling, of tracking things, again, it's going to be at the back of your mind, in your working memory, not allowing you to do your best thinking on your most important goals in your work and in your personal life. So let's get into practice. So what did we started doing? First of all, how many hours a week do you have? Literally, let's put numbers on this work-life balance. And by the way, folks, work-life balance, it's going to change for you. Again, it's like for an athlete or for any individual in their life. For you, work-life balance is not going to be the same when you are in your 20s, when you are in your 30s, when you are in your 40s and 50s. In fact, it might change over the course of 1 year, depending on what projects, personal and professional, are the most important. Or also in your personal life, maybe your health is more important than, let's say, your relationships at some point. Maybe you decide to dedicate more time to skill development or to some hobbies. Maybe this is the exploration phase of your life. And because of that, because of different priorities in different areas of your life, your balance is going to shift. And by balance, we mean maintaining, building a system that is sustainable. But that variation of things that you can create to build a sustainable system, it is so huge. Like there are so many ways to build that balance, that sustainable system in your work and life. So first, we start with counting our hours. 24 hours every single day. You have 7 days a week. This is 168 hours. So this is your limit. As long as you are on this planet, in this reality, you're going to get exactly 168 hours, no matter who you are, president of any country, or perhaps at some point of the world, or you are a work from home or stay-at-home mom or dad. You're still going to have the same hours. You have 168 hours. Now, we're going to sleep, obviously. So let's subtract that. 7 nights by 8, 56 hours. So 56 hours on sleep. And now, let's say you decide to work for 40 hours. Let's subtract that from our 168 hours. And what you get is about 72 hours for life. That's already excluding sleep, and that's already excluding work. So 72 hours per week for other things that you do besides work. Obviously, if your work is a priority right now, and that is your balance at the moment, then instead of 40, you can put, let's say, 60, right? It's going to be challenging. 60 hours is a lot of work, but still, whatever number works for you. And this is where you kind of want to have some subjective or some objective measure of reality. What I mean by that? Now, of course, you can sleep less than 8 hours a day or a night, but is it sustainable? Or is it going to crush you? And your thinking will suffer, and your decision making will suffer, and your health will suffer a lot in the next maybe few weeks, few months, few years, and down the line you're going to create a lot of problems. Like, what is sustainable? That's where you kind of want to have objectivity and a professional, an expert, or at least someone helping you to create a sustainable system. Is it sustainable? Is it doable? Taking into account the fact that you are a human being. Is this sustainable? So, okay, 72 hours for life if you decide to work 40 hours. And then you see those 40 working hours, now you can have flexibility. You can choose when you're going to do those 40 hours. Do you want to work mostly Monday to Friday? Do you want to work more Monday to Thursday? Do you want to work some on the weekends, and that's how you make your week shorter? Like, most of the people actually have these days quite some flexibility when it comes to when they work and what hours, schedule, etc., how many hours. So you distribute those hours as it fits you, as it fits your family priorities, as it fits your health priorities, other priorities in your life. And then again, you have 72 hours for life. And that, of course, includes feeding yourself and taking showers and doing workouts and all kinds of activities. But you do have 72 hours that for a day, if you were to distribute it equally, can end up about 10 hours a day. Obviously, most of us work more during the week and work less on the weekends. And you'll probably distribute those hours not 10 hours per day for leisure, and then, 40 hours for work divided by 7, it's going to be 5.5 hours or something like that, right? So you usually don't distribute like that. But you get the idea. You have the budget of 168 hours. And now to create the work-life balance that works in your life right now, you distribute those hours according to your priorities. And then step number 2, to create an effective work-life balance, meaning you actually get more of the results that you want in your work and in your life. You don't just do stuff with those hours. You spend those hours on your most prioritized activities to get more results in work and in life. What do I mean by that? Well, at work, let's say you are an entrepreneur, you're building something. And here we'll also, as an exercise leading to distributing hours based on your priorities, we also do 80-20 exercise. So let me explain it in a little bit more detail. At work, you probably do a lot of activities. So 80-20 principle, what are the 20% of activities that give you 80% of results? Or what are the activities that move the needle forward the most? My example, right now I'm working on getting more clients. So for me, reaching out, building connections one-on-one, or reaching out directly to people works much better than, let's say, content creation for generating business in my business. And so I distribute my work hours, those 40 hours, accordingly. I don't spend much time on creating a lot of social media content. In fact, I'm looking to outsource it completely and then dedicate a lot more time to creating leads, to reaching out to people, to talking to people, building the work network, looking where I can partner, looking where I can create value for myself and other businesses, other entrepreneurs, right? So that lead generation, reaching out, communicating with people, that's building relationships. That is very important. That's where I'm going to be spending most of the time, not on content, because that doesn't really bring a lot into my business or into my life, to be honest. So social media is not a priority item, and I distribute my time accordingly. So now let's get back to our 40 hours. Okay, I created a list of the activities that I do for business, and I realized, okay, reaching out, talking to people, meeting people brings a lot more results than social media. Then that means that in those 40 hours, my priority number 1 is going to be reaching out to people, meeting people, building relationships, all kinds of building of communication with other people. And now let's say priority number 2 going to be social media. And the hours that I have, let's say I have those 40 hours. And for my existing clients, let's say I spend 20 hours and then I have 20 hours throughout the week for reaching out and social media. So in those 20 hours, I might spend just 5 hours on social media or less, and the rest 15 hours on building relationships with people that bring more business, and that is more effective than my social media. And so now I have, again, priority number 1, building relationship, priority number 2, social media. And I distribute my work hours accordingly to get the most results on the objective that means the most in my business. And that is growing my business, generating more business. That is priority number 1, increasing sales. And now you see, I'm not just creating a balance. Okay, I need to take care of myself and I need to take care of relationships. And in my personal life, I want to dedicate some time to hobbies because that fuels my activity, my excellence in my work life. So I'm creating the balance based on my priorities, but not only that, and I then look into each area like work, for example, and I prioritize activities that are tied to the most important objectives. There's objectives, key results, and based on that, I build my schedule. And then I look at each of my day and I'm like, okay, where are those 15 hours going to fit into my week? Monday to Friday, that's what I do most of my work. So probably 5 hours or 3 hours are going to go for 3 hours every single day, Monday to Friday, going to go to building relationships. And then we have social media, another hour every single day. And then the rest of the time is dedicated to work with my current clients, right? Then now let's move to our life, for which we have 72 hours a week. And here too, what are the priorities in your personal life right now? Are you trying to get into a relationship, or you're trying to build up your current relationship? Do you have a family? Did you become a parent? What are the priorities in your personal life right now? Priority number one, and it can only be one. Priority number two, maybe it's your fitness and it's your health. Priority number three, maybe it's hobbies. Maybe that is where you meet with your friends. Also generate a list of priorities. And here I also love using the concept that I learned in the book, The 80-20 Principle by Richard Koch. And the concept is called Achievement Islands are for work, happiness islands are for personal life. And so happiness islands are those 20% of activities that you do in your personal life. Like for me, hiking with other like-minded entrepreneurs, or going for walks with all kinds of interesting people, creators, business owners, or just people who are working on interesting projects. So for me, that is like one of my happiness islands, number one, that brings me the most pleasure, that grows me personally, that grows me professionally. And it's kind of an intersection of work life, because we then generate so many ideas for different projects. That being said, so building relationships, meeting other people is a priority in my personal life. And so I definitely put it into my list of activities to do in my personal life, to spend my 72 hours on. And that's, for me, building relationships is actually priority number one. And that, again, I looked at the activities that I did in the past, like going out to different events, or getting lunches, or going out for dinners with a group of digital nomads, for example, or going to different exhibitions or concerts. And I looked at all of these activities and I'm like, going out at night to clubs, meeting new people, never generated any happiness for me. So maybe let's cut it all together out of my agenda. And so here is the beautiful thing. Now, when somebody asks me, do you want to go out at night? Unless there is a special occasion done with my friends who I really love already, and anything done with them is fun, my answer is automatically no. I don't do that stuff. Doesn't make me feel good. I'm an early night person. I go to bed at 30. I love waking up at 4 or 5. So late night activities with random strangers isn't really on my priority list. So now the beauty of it is I don't think about that. I don't keep it in my mind. My answer is automatic no. I don't spend any decision-making power on it. So you see, now the thing that has no priority in my life doesn't occupy any my processing power in my mind, processing power that I can spend on generating activities that are either great for my work or great for my happiness. So the beauty of it, you don't spend any time on making those decisions or evaluating things, because you already did it. You're like, I looked at my activities, and that stuff in 99% of the cases never brought any quality into my life. Now, priority number 2 for me is health and fitness. Not only it fuels my life outside of work, it fuels my work. The better I feel physically, mentally, emotionally, that depends on my recovery and on my physical health practices. So the better I feel there, the more profound work I create, and the better my life goes overall. And also, I don't get sick. And guess what? I don't waste time on being sick and barely making it through the day. And that is a huge thing that a lot of entrepreneurs undervalue, like just not getting sick and always feeling great every single day. That is such an asset that you can invest into your work, into your life. And when you show up 100%. Like, how cool is that? As a kid, I was growing up and I didn't know much about health practice. Well, at that time, how many years ago? It was like, 30 years ago. Nobody knew much when it comes to specific practices, and it goes to nutrition, etc. So I was growing up in Siberia. There was lack of vitamin D and lack of a lot of things, including vegetables. And so it wasn't, obviously about stressing out about a lot of things, even though I had a sort of challenging childhood like many of us do. But it was about not getting essential vitamins and minerals. And because of that, my health, my mental, my physical health suffered. And I used to get sick so often. And it's not fun when you're sick and you're trying to study or trying to make some project done. But the same goes for your adult life. So back then, when I was a kid, I used to get sick many times throughout the year. And it would take weeks to get over it. And it didn't feel good. And I didn't do good. Every day was a struggle. But now, it's been, 5 years. Like during pandemic, I never had anything. I never got any COVID. I just kept going. And it's been now years like that. And every day I wake up and I'm feeling awesome and my memory works and my operating memory works and I know how to manage stress. I feel awesome no matter how many challenges I'm going through, and I'm going through quite a lot. The point is, when you take care of yourself, you build up such an asset that you go almost full speed every single day, and you can outdo, especially on a longer time horizon, so many other people. And you wouldn't believe how much it actually gonna build you up and build up your business when taking a longer term perspective. So that being why health is priority number 2. For me, relationships, just because I kind of failed to build good relationships earlier in my life. And by the way, relationships, your social life, it affects your health and fitness in so many ways. And when they did, for example, longevity research, they learned that people who live the longest always have one thing in common that influences all of the other areas. They have really tight, really deep social connections for basically entirety of their lives. And so that's why also social relationships go even higher for me at this moment than my physical health, because I know that if I don't have that foundation of good, deep social connections, guess what? Everything else in my health will suffer. My training, my nutrition, my sleep, and all of the other aspirations I have in health area. That's why social relationships come first. And that goes to my family that I call every single day. That goes to my friends that I connect and we do something together weekly, monthly. There is some communication every single day. But also, I schedule those activities. I put those things in my routine, in my daily habits, so I don't have to think about that. I have reminders for my friend's birthday, right? Outsourcing your brain. You wouldn't believe how much more power your brain can generate, how many more ideas, solutions, and just capacity to work when you don't hold in your brain all the things that you have to think about when it comes to work-life balance. Now back to the idea of distributing those 72 hours. Now let's just talk about 2 priorities. My social relationships and my health. So now I have 72 hours. Besides that, obviously, I have to eat, I have to shower. So I like to take it actually day by day. And so obviously on the weekends. Well, not obviously, but for majority of us on the weekends, you're going to have more time during the week, less time for yourself. And then you calculate, okay, for food, I spend, let's say, couple of hours for me with cooking. I love cooking, with cooking, eating, cleaning, couple of hours per day. That's it. Then for different grooming stuff, another hour. So 3 hours a day, we subtract that. Now we have, let's say we distribute our leisure equally, and we might have 3 hours, we might have a couple of hours, we might have 4 hours. The third priority is studies in my leisure. And then I have those 3 priorities, and I look at my schedule from Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and I schedule my social relationships, my health and fitness. And by the way, in all of those, I also have buckets of priorities, like my family, my parents, goes up there every single day, connect with them, because I know how important that is, and that's going to be in my life and in their life, right? In my health and fitness, working out, going for walks are the most important things for me. Sleep is already covered, of course. And nutrition, I'm a nutritionist, kind of goes on autopilot at this point. And then we have studying that I dedicate time to every single day. And so now we have these 3 priorities. We have, let's say, maybe 4 hours during the week, and then we have a lot more on the weekends. And so I have 4 hours of leisure. Okay. Where do I dedicate those 4 hours? Usually 90 minutes at least spent on studying. There is walking, at least another like 30 minutes or so. There is exercise, and there is some time for social connections that usually during the week isn't much. It's just connecting over WhatsApp, over calls, sometimes even over emails and Zooms, but you get the idea. So work-life balance, it's not some balance that you reach when you have time. It's actually looking at your time budget and distributing it based on your priorities between work and life, and also based on good data. So, you do this in your time during your day, someday like sleep, certain amount, like social connections, like movement. You do this, or in your business, reaching out for business, lead generation or sales, whatever that is in your business, or building solution, maybe looking for investors. Maybe you need to create this awareness about the solution you try to build. Maybe you need to publish some articles, whatever that is. You then distribute the amount of hours you decided to dedicate to work and life. And then you distribute it based on your priorities, based on your priority number 1, number 2, number 3. And very important, guys, to understand here, you don't just spend those hours you decide to dedicate to work and life kind of randomly. You also ask yourself this question: what is the activity priority number 1, number 2, number 3? And then based on that, you put more hours into priority number 1, less hours in priority number 2. Like for me, reaching out, building relationships, building connections in business is more important than social media, based on the results that I get. That, yes, I'm now trying to generate more business and grow. And so I dedicate a lot more hours to building relationships, connecting with people, than doing social media. In your health, in your personal life, what is your priority? Is it your family right now? Again, are you a new parent? Maybe it's building friendships. Maybe you lack in that area. Maybe it's building new romantic relationship. In your health, what is the priority? Is it kind of minimum effective dose? You just do some exercise, maybe at home, spending very little time. Or do you love and you want to dedicate more time to your fitness? Maybe you're preparing for some competition. Maybe that is the part of your life to do that. And then you distribute the hours accordingly. And that is going to be your balance based on your happiness islands, on your achievements, on your 80-20, and based on this simple mathematics, and making peace with the fact that all of us have this limit, 24 hours a day, 168 hours a week. And that's your budget. And you get no more. No matter what you do, nobody's getting more time. And you better understand what are your priorities, what is bringing the most results, and what is bringing the most satisfaction to you right now, and what is lacking in your life. and look at your week at this limited budget of 168 hours and distribute those hours based on your current priorities and on the current vision of your life. And let's get back to this idea. This work-life balance, it's different for everyone. If you are an entrepreneur or a leader of multi-billion-dollar multinational company, your priorities and your activities and your work-life balance ain't going to be the same as a stay-at-home mom or dad. I just bring this very contrasting examples because you'll understand now that the balance, it's different. It's not some universal concept of having certain activities or doing certain activities. And again, back to the idea, there has to be some objectivity. You cannot hope that you all of a sudden become a machine and you decide to compromise your sleep. You decide to spend zero time on your stress regulation. You decide to spend zero time on, let's say, healthy meals that build the foundation for your energy, for your resilience, for your work effectiveness and life effectiveness, right? You also have to have some objectivity to build effective system, not just something. But, doing this exercise will worth it even if you don't have the best data. You then become more of an adult. You look at the limitations that you have. You accept the reality as it is. Nobody's getting more time. And you have the limit of 168 hours exactly every single week. And then as an adult, you look at that and you decide, okay, these are my priorities. And this is how I'm distributing this budget. It's kind of like your financial budget. Although with financial budget, you can increase it. With time budget, not going to happen, at least not at the current state of our scientific discovery. Might not even ever be possible. So yeah, let's not speculate here. You have 168 hours. It ain't getting bigger. So make intentional decisions about how you're spending them. Otherwise, you'll end up building the life that you hate living. And I think this is the worst kind of experience when we sit down and we kind of wonder, how did I end up here with this life? Guess what? It's all about that lack of priority-based living, a lack of working with this finite resource, time, and allocating it accordingly so it starts building up the life that you actually want and love living. And that's it for today, folks. If you found this episode useful, please do let me know. Angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com. Angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com. That is my email. You also can find me on Instagram at Angela Brain Body Coach. One word, Angela Brain Body Coach. Also, please do share this podcast episode with at least one person. Screenshot it, send it via WhatsApp. Whatever works for you, please do share, because that's how we help more people. That's how we reach more people. That's how we grow as a society. We learn together, we share, we teach each other, and the more people grow, the better the world becomes. So please share this podcast episode in whichever way works for you. Reach out with feedback or questions. Also, don't forget there is a link to free health assessment if this is the area of health, the area of life that you're working on. This is the foundation, the fuel for all of the other areas of your life. Free assessment is in the show notes. And it's a weekend, or maybe it's not when you're listening to it. But anyhow, every day there should be time for recovery and restoration of your resources that then you can invest into all the amazing achievements that you plan for your life. So don't forget to recover, the final message, and have an awesome rest of the day. I'll talk to you very soon.